Sales is service. Sales is love. Sales is transformation. Sales is impact. Sales is health. Sales is thriving. Sales is safety. Hey, it's Heather Chauvin, wife, mother of 3 boys, former social worker, dreamer, recovering rescuer, stage 4 cancer survivor. I started my motherhood journey when I was 18. I was single and living off government assistance. Beyond all of these titles and labels, I'm a human being, just like you, attempting to navigate it all while feeling good. My goal on this podcast is to show you that you can live an energized, sustainable life both at home and in your work. On this show, I attempt to keep it real with stories, interviews, and random thoughts. This is not a business or career podcast, and it's not a parenting podcast. It's both and so much more. You will laugh, you will cry, and maybe even get a little frustrated with the truth you've been hiding from yourself. I believe all human behavior is a language, whether it's through your child's behavior, your health, or a relationship. And when we learn to listen instead of react, we begin to understand what it truly means to feel alive and in control. If you haven't already, go grab a copy of my book, Dying to Be a Good Mother. You can purchase it wherever books are sold online. And if you're interested in how to integrate this work into your life and get quicker results, you can learn more about my mastery and mastery business coaching experiences at heatherchauvin.com/work with me. Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/work with me. And you have a personal question or a topic you'd like me to answer on this podcast, then text me 313-710-5199. 313-710-5199. All right, let's change your life. Let's dig in. Hey ladies, I am back and I'm really excited to share today's conversation with you. It's a business podcast every Thursday, or most every Thursdays. I like to drop a business podcast for you. And something that I'm extremely passionate about, and we talk a lot inside of my Mastery Business program, is not only how to do sales, meaning how to have that conversation with somebody, how to handle their objections, how to get to the point and the core of what's really going on. There's a deeper conversation here. And that deeper conversation is about our definition of money, of sales, of business as women. And what I think a lot of people don't understand is that when you choose to start a business as a woman, you are doing it because you have a future in your mind, which might be freedom, time freedom, financial freedom. And then you get yourself stuck in this place of it not feeling sustainable, not bringing in enough income, giving away your services, just, feeling completely out of alignment, like it's time to up level and you got to do things. My point of why I'm saying this is because today I'm having a conversation with 2 of my most favorite people, Racheal Cook and Laura Wright. Racheal Cook and I have been friends for a decade, and she was actually one of my early mentors, friends turned mentor. And she has an MBA in business, and I really just value her, go and get it done attitude. And I've watched her literally soar in the last decade. She doesn't waste time in the nitty gritty. She focuses on making money and making money now. Laura is the exact same. And what I really love about her, she talks about energy, she talks about alignment, and she's just fucking badass. And so at the end of this conversation, they talk about how to get more of them, how to follow them, and I highly encourage you do that. What I've noticed in women in sales is the only reason why I started talking about sales was because people were asking me, like, how did you do that? how do you run your business? How do you have this time freedom, this energy, blah, blah, blah? How does your husband work within your company? How did he leave his job? And it's not about coaching. It has nothing to do with coaching. This is about respect. This is about receiving. And this is so much deeper than sales and money. And every single time I'm talking to a woman who feels like she can't find the right client, or, she gets them on the phone and then they don't convert, or she can't even get them on the phone, or, she's at capacity and doesn't, like scaling, whatever it is, it all comes back to shame. It all comes back to feeling worthy. And it all comes back to having those emotionally uncomfortable conversations. And so today we're diving into this conversation, and I want to hear from you. If you are a female business owner feeling like you struggle with sales, or it's challenging for you, or your business is not where you want it to be, reach out. Reach out. Send me a text, 313-710-5199. And we are actually now taking applications for our Mastery Business program. So if you have felt called to work with me, work with my community, you have absolutely no idea how I can even be of service to you, now is the time to reach out. Reach out. You can do this. 313-710-5199. You are not alone, and I did not get to where I am doing this alone. I asked for help. I invested in myself. I figured it out, and I never gave up. 313-710-5199, or send me a message on Instagram at Heather Chauvet. Let's start the conversation. Powerhouse, Taylor. All right, everyone, welcome to this conversation. And right before I hit record, I knew the magic was starting to happen. So I thought, let's hit it now. So this is all about selling with confidence, and it's so much more and so much bigger than that. So before we dive in, let's introduce ourselves. So Racheal, can you just give a little nutshell version of who you are, what you're up to, and how you're changing the world?
For sure. I'm Racheal Cook. I'm the host of Promote Yourself to CEO podcast and founder of the CEO Collective, where we help women entrepreneurs, specifically service-based entrepreneurs, coach consultants, creative entrepreneurs, to start and scale their businesses without the hustle and burnout. So I have had the pleasure of knowing Heather for 10 years now, which is wild, but she has seen a lot of the evolution of my own business. But now we're really excited because things are just moving very quickly in the women's entrepreneurship space. And it's amazing to be on the inside, the woman who supports all the incredible women in putting the infrastructure in place so that they can have a business they love with a lifestyle to match.
Love it. And it's 100% possible. And Laura, can you tell everyone a little bit about you?
Yes, who am I? So I'm Laura Wright. I am a sales coach and consultant for high 6-figure and 7-figure women. What I love about being connected with both of you is I'm going to almost mirror the same thing. So the way that we work is very counterintuitive. We teach our women how to stay in flow, to stay out of launching. In fact, we have something we call a sold circle, SOULD. Circle in our company. And in fact, we've even built a new company around everything with my business partner, Amber Annette, and I. We are now the Sold Sisters. And what we're showing women how to do is how to sell with connection and soul, but really be connected to the high level and high vibration of wealth. Because when you sell at your highest level, you can serve at your highest level. And we want to show women how to do it so that you don't have to be in a place of stress or worry or concern, but you can get the money, because this is what it's about. It's not the money that makes you, it's your desire to impact and change the world. And when you don't put yourself at highest priority for income threshold, you are actually taking away not only from yourself, but those ideal clients and prospects that you want. Ooh, I can keep going. And so we want to show you how to sell with soul and to serve at your highest level.
I love that. I'll probably be muting and unmuting. That was little Steve. We have little Steve now. He's a dash hound and he makes lots of noise. He's yippy. So, okay. And I'm just going to do a quick introduction in case someone's listening to this and they already do not know who I am, or a little bit of background or why even we're having this conversation. on a podcast that's called Mom is in Control, is because when I started my business, I work with women in general. And there's two ways that I work with women. One is the personal aspect, whether it's parenting, relationships, energetic time management, but it's really just reverse engineering your life in alignment with how you want to feel. We're all saying the same thing with different language. That's all we're doing here. And that's the beauty of what happens when we all come together. I'm already inspired, getting ideas, and I'm going to be buzzing all day because of this conversation. But when I started my business and I was working with women in that capacity, helping them feel alive in their personal lives, they kept saying, well, Heather, how do you do this in your business? Or how do you do this here? How do you do that there? So I didn't have to, but I found the desire to work with both women in their lives and in their businesses. So I do not solely work with women in business. But in business, it's the exact same thing. You're people pleaser, you're overachiever, you're over delivery. I'm not worthy, giving it away. You're over mothering your clients, you're over mothering everyone else. And so just like Laura and Racheal said, this is about ease and flow and energetic alignment, right? And we all use different sides of our brains. And that is the beauty of this conversation. So selling with confidence. Okay. So sometimes when people hear sales, especially women, they want to vomit a little bit and run away. So let's just start having a conversation about sales in general in business. So Racheal, do you want to start?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I started in the world of business, I assumed I would be terrible at sales. And the reason for that is I was raised by two entrepreneurs. My dad owns an insurance agency that he built starting in like the 80s. And he is the typical salesman. When you think of salesman, you think of my dad. He's the person who knows everybody. He'll go up and talk to absolutely anybody. He's a super extrovert, life of the party. And I am the opposite. I am like very much behind the scenes, very introverted. I don't like that many people. And I certainly don't like going out and talking to strangers. So I assumed I would be terrible at it. But it turns out I'm really, really good at it. And the reason I'm really good at it is because I am an excellent teacher. And I let my marketing do all of the heavy lifting, so that by the time we are in the sales conversation, whether it is a actual conversation or they are going through a sales process I've designed, they already trust me. They already know the value I bring to the table. And really it's about making sure we're a fit instead of me trying to like strong arm people. And for any of the introverts out there who are like, I just want to be behind the scenes doing my thing. Like literally I sit in a room and talk to myself all day or write all day. I really don't have to be very extroverted. And the sales come so easily because I leaned into what feels good to me.
I love that. Laura.
I'm clapping because, so I am the extrovert. I am the person that you want to know if you are not an extrovert, because I will walk you around the party and introduce you to the right people, or I will bring people to you. And I used to believe that my sales talent was a talent, not a skill. And so I think the reason why so many women shy away from sales is because they were only shared and shown the PMS way to sell. And what I mean by PMS is pale, male, and stale. And it's I have to credit Amber Annette, my beloved business partner, for coming up with that one, but it's true. It is what is taught to us. It's the only example. It is either you have to be the extrovert, life of the party, know everybody, glad hander, or you have to be the shyster who knows how to wheel, deal, and convince and coerce. You know, whenever I hear those kind of words, it really turns me off. And so it's been my mission for years to help women understand actually what is effective in sales. Because here's the thing, that external push for sales is actually not the most effective. The most effective, and Racheal, why you are brilliant at sales is because you understand creating connection, knowing one another, believing in one another, trusting one another. It's like beyond know, like, and trust. We call it know, believe, and love. And when you get there in that moment, you really are deciding do we align and do we match? And then there's no push, there's no force. You get to be 1,000% you. The thing that I love to teach our clients is I don't teach you how to do sales the way I do sales. We both together show you how to step into your highest form of your power, which can be soft and quiet. It's not always loud. And then how to create that connection so a prospect can say, yes, we're aligned, and so can you. Sales is not just one directional. It's not something you do to somebody else. It's a connection and conversation to see if you can fit.
Love it. And Racheal and I were totally laughing on that PMS thing. That's amazing.
It's good. It's gold.
I love sales. And I think when Racheal and I first met, because Racheal met me when I first started my business 10 years ago, she's probably blown away by that statement, because that was definitely not who I was 10 years ago. But the reason why I love it is because sales is service. And when you take it away and when you take away the word and you want to make a big impact, in the world, or leave people better than the way that you found them, we are always selling to people. I'm selling to my children to get their shoes on, right? I'm selling to my partner on like, hey, let's get you to quit your job so we can travel around the world, and, don't worry, we'll figure this out, right? So we're always selling to people. And if you are in business, your marketing is selling to people as well, which is like, you can feel good, right? I'm constantly selling to people that you can feel good, make a lot of money, have the relationships that you desire. So we are selling. Or you're selling the opposite. Hey, you can feel like shit. Every meme that you put out, every quote that you put out, like, hey, you have to drink a lot of coffee in order to survive parenthood. Like, realize that you're always being sold to. So it's which conversation do you want to engage in? And there's a lot of intimacy, like we're both saying here, in that moment when we're creating that transformation for someone, that connection. And it's all about boundaries. It's all about, how do you want to feel and what do you want and desire? So when we take away the word and kind of what Racheal was alluding to, like the old definition of what that is, we're bringing our own approach. Whether that's, you want to call it feminine, you want to call it whatever it is service. You are doing a huge service to the world. So I'm sure both of you, this always hasn't been rainbows and kitty cats. And I think we need to talk about that, because a lot of people see what other people are doing out there and like, this is awesome. But can you both speak to the inner game that is required to become the business owner and to hold that space for people, or to create that connected content to attract the person so you can help them change their life? Can we talk about kind of the things that happen behind closed doors that people maybe don't understand is required? Rach, you want to start?
I'm going to ask Laura to start, because my brain just exploded and I can't decide a starting point here.
And it's so funny because I'm always like, I'll go first. It is really the extrovert introvert moment here. This is awesome. So here's what I know. We call it the dip. So in life and in business, and a lot in business because we tend to be risk takers, you're going along and then something happens and you dip. And in fact, it happened to me the other day. I was, transparency moment, taking my shower. It's where all the good things usually happen. And all of a sudden, this little pop of like an idea popped in my brain. The next thing I know, I'm considering that my, kid is dead. My husband is on the street. He has left me. Everything is a disaster. All of our clients are failing. No one's ever going to pay me again. And I was like, whoa, what just happened? Like a little thought ran through my brain. However, most people, what happens again, when we're doing these big things in our lives, something like that will happen. Or let's say you have a sales conversation, you're really jazzed up about an offer and you make it and the other person tears it apart or says no. And what we've learned is that in the years I've watched, most people go into the dip and they go down and they stay down, and they go down and they find other people that help them stay down, or they start to believe that idea. What happens for me now is I am aware that the dip just showed up, and I usually have like a whoop, because I do things like I surround myself with high vibe people. And I don't mean that like that toxic positivity everybody's talking about, like, keep going. I mean, like women who get it, who have been down in the depths, and they can say, maybe Laura, this isn't true today. Let's listen to it for a second. I'm very connected to my husband. He understands what we do as a business. So he can say, take some Tums because maybe you ate something that irritated your system. Like it maybe isn't up here, it's in your gut. But like knowing who to reach out to and how to get yourself through it, I have little dips versus going off kilter. And I remember years back before I understood how to like energetically align and do, like I have daily activities I do that keep me in an energetic alignment. And then I have little practices that I pull in when I feel something's off. But before I had them, a dip would turn into a downturn and sometimes a downward spiral. So I think the key is not that it doesn't happen to us, but how do we respond when something doesn't go the way that is planned, a way that we desire, or those, like I call her the crazy bitch, that little voice in your mind who's not you, but she sounds like you and she says things that you shouldn't say. When those things show up, I know the tool to go to move myself through it faster.
Love it.
I love that. And I was going to say, alongside of what Laura just said, for me, when I started my business, I assumed I had no mindset problems, which is crazy, right? Like we all do. But I had a couple of advantages that I think are different from a lot of people. One, I came from a traditional business consulting background. So I had an understanding and expectations that were realistic about what it takes to have a business. And I think some of the major mindset things I run into with my own clients, especially around sales, it isn't that they don't have the skills or what they're offering isn't amazing. It's that the expectation setting has not been there. They have learned all of this hype. And when you're first getting started, the chances of coming out the gate in your business and having like the 6-figure launch, the 7 figures in 2 years, like, does it happen? Sure. But that is the exception, not the rule. And so for me, I'm always thinking about how do we level set expectations, not to be like the party pooper, but to say, hey, if our expectations are so sky high that the chance of you just finding yourself in that hole are 100%, because the chance of you hitting these ridiculously high goals is nil, it's going to be really hard to move you forward. But if you have those clarity and expectations and you understand the numbers, you understand what needs to happen before you hit those types of amazing sales goals, it makes it a little bit easier, because then you might be in the dip energetically, but you can be a little analytical about it and say, okay, this didn't go the way I wanted, or I'm not seeing the results I wanted. What's actually happening? And separate out the facts from the feelings a little bit, because I find sometimes if we get too far into the feelings, then it's really easy to convince yourself that the feelings are facts. Like, my offer sucks because nobody's buying it. Well, no, your offer might be fantastic. You just haven't gotten in front of the right person. The messaging isn't right. Maybe you need to get in front of more people. Maybe we need to do something on the front end. But if we assume that all of the feelings that we get sucked into are facts, if we believe our thoughts, then it can be really hard to pull out of that. And for some people, I find, because of the sheer amount of hype out there right now, especially in the women's entrepreneurship space, I feel like I'm the one coming in and I'm like, okay, y'all, we're going to be realistic about this. Here's what it's actually going to take. And it's funny, this past week, I had a client come to me and they've been working with different people for like 3 years, and they've learned all the sales strategies. They've been doing launching, they've been doing marketing. They still are struggling in their business. And I was like, okay, what do we need to do next? How much of a gap do we need to make up so you don't have to like remortgage your house? And I sat down and I said, let's pull out your email list. And I want you to personally email, not blast email. I want you to personally email every person who's been opening your emails for the past 30 days. And it came up to a list of like 700 people who had been opening and, engaging with their list. And I was like, now, if we look at the math of it, these are people who've been reading your emails. They've been engaging in some way. So they're paying attention. Let's say 30 of them get on a call with you. You'll probably come away with 5 or 6 clients. And that's what you need in order to get through this revenue gap. And these are the things that I think, because there's so much hype about the, evergreen, automated, make money while you sleep that sometimes we forget. You've just got to be willing to look at the numbers and look at the math and look at how it happens, how the sausage actually gets made for a lot of businesses. It's picking up the phone or sending out the personal email, connecting and making the offer. So kind of circling back to the mindset, I think it's just coming back to a lot of these businesses that I see right now, they're pretending like it's all of the online marketing magic, but there's actually a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. And if we would just be more open and honest about it, I think it would prevent a lot more people from getting into the mindset dip where they feel like, oh, I'm just a failure. No one wants this.
Oh, I so appreciate that. First of all, why I picked both of you to be here, because we tell people what they need, not necessarily what they want to hear. And I've always appreciated that about you, Rach. Like, you are very like strategy, right? Like, but you can also like honor and respect, like, okay, you're human and you're burning out. Like, it doesn't even matter if we're doing numbers right now. Like, you need to go chill for a weekend or a week. Like, you can take the human, but this comes back to if you are burning out, if you feel like shit, abundance is not going to come to you. Like, you feeling good and thriving is the whole point. That is the essence of why you probably got into business in the first place: time freedom, financial freedom. And then, yes, there's so much math, and we have to remove ourselves from that and look at the numbers. And if you are not that person, then guess what? You hire that person, right? You have that on a team complementary to you. I am not that person. I'm a visionary. I can be as organized as I need to be. I can understand that math and data is important. But it's not something I want to be looking at all day, every day. So that's why I hire that on my team, complementary. Yes, behind the scenes, I think feeling the depths of which you want to feel your discomfort and contrast is the depth in which you are willing to experience and receive. So what I mean by that is, kind of just to sum up what both of you were saying, if something's not working, you got to feel that shit. You can't avoid it, right? You got to look at it. And if there's disappointment, if there's anger, if there's resentment, I'm always like, your feelings are here to get your attention, but they also deserve, they can be boundaried, right? It's like a child. I always go back to parenting because that's like the core of my thing. But a child having a tantrum and you're like, I see you and I accept your big emotions. I'm going to continue on my little journey, like making lunch or making dinner, love you, holding space for you. But you are not derailing my whole day just because you're having a big emotion. And that's how I have to do it with myself as well. It's like, okay, fear, I see you, but you're not dictating my action. I'm still going to execute on this plan. I'm going to be flexible. I'm going to reach out to my business besties, whatever the hell you want to call them, your network, your community, and keep focusing. Like, my core focus is, how do I want to feel and how far removed am I from my core? Right? So if you're way over here, I'm like, it's time to regroup and energize, and you can get back here, but you got to go back. So love it, love it, love it, love it. There is a lot of BS out there, and that's what people are buying into. And I don't believe that both of you use social media or Instagram as a primary way to attract your clients. And I see it, and I don't either. I repurpose a lot of content, or, I have a love-hate relationship with it. So then I just delete it and whatever. People are like, how do you do this on Instagram? And I'm like, I don't get my clients from Instagram. My clients are I find chronic Instagram users are very passive consumers. And I get a lot of my active consumers from my podcast and other speaking gigs that I've done, or workshops, which happens a lot behind the scenes, right? So you don't look like, you can reach your financial goals and grow your business, but you are not like, oh my gosh, like, look, it's her, right? But you're making magic happen behind the scenes. So I don't know if you ladies want to talk about that at all, like let go of the hype.
Yeah. So I love this because we say this, I don't have an online business. We utilize the tool of social media occasionally, but I have for years done what we call bare minimum online, because I do understand that people need to know that you exist. But we always like to joke, I just redid my website. Like, I think it might be live in like the next week or so, since 2013. And if you went to my old site, it's not mobile ready. It doesn't function. I don't even think the opt-in is connected anymore, because the truth of the matter is that's not where I get my clients. It's not what they need. We are being experts, being behind the scenes. And I also think, like, I had a really cool experience back in June. My now business partner and we had been collaborating for almost 6 years together, and then really intently over the last 18 months. And in June, we decided to officially partner up. And we put our businesses together and we did a launch, and we did 6 figures in less than 6 weeks. And it might seem like, and I've been very careful because I don't want to teach that, because it was a brand new business. It wasn't a brand new without assets business. She had her community. I had my community. We already had a thriving mastermind. When we started a new program, we had people that were already engaged and connected to us. So when we zhuzhed everything up, it was really easy to transfer them into this new vehicle. And I think what happened is somewhere between here and there, everyone who was at step 1, and this isn't like a hierarchy issue, but like just beginning in your business, saw women who were at step 12 and said, oh, I need to go from here to here immediately. And I have to tell you, like, this has been I've been online, again, I still use that quotation marks, since 2008. Was able to hit 7 figures with a list of 1,900 people. But I think the key is, I think I know everyone in my community. And if I don't know you, I go and look and I can find you somewhere really quickly to know you. We have about 900 buyers in our community, whether they bought something small or bought something big. So I love what you were saying, Racheal, about like picking up the phone and being in connection. It's my favorite thing about sales. Is it is the number one thing that puts women in command. I always like to say, if something happened today and I had to make money before the end of tonight, I could do it. And I need one thing. It's my phone. That's it. Being able to reach out to somebody, make an aligned invitation, I can put myself in command and be able to have the resources I need almost instantaneously. And again, it's not fancy footwork online. It is direct human connection.
I love this so much because I had somebody in a recent interview ask me, like, what was my superpower? And I said, I can make money anytime I want. And I wasn't trying to be arrogant. When you understand how it works for you, then it's the same. Like, I can pick up my phone, scroll through and start sending out personalized voice messages to people I know are interested in checking out working with me. I've always got a list going of people for my next enrollment period or for my next thing. Like, I've always got the hot list of dream clients for the next thing we're enrolling. And all I have to do is I'll send them a video, I'll send them a voice memo, I'll send them a personalized something and say, hey, let's talk. I want to hear about your goals. How can I help you? And here's what I'm working on that could help you this year. And because I have that skill set, like, there's no money worry that I have, because I know I can always go out. Like, if I have a launch, an enrollment period for a program and it doesn't hit the numbers that I want, it's fine. Like, I know what to do, what levers to pull in order to make that up. And I think this is the beauty of understanding your sales process and how you can make it work for you. This is the biggest thing I hear from women. Like, they want that financial security. They don't want to be feeling like I hate hearing women who are like, if this launch goes sideways, I will lose my house. Or, we've pulled out of our 401k to start this business, and if it doesn't work, then I have nothing left. I've heard all the horror stories. And it's like, if you understand how this stuff works, that's the real power. That's the real freedom. Not that your business is an ATM, but that you have the skills to go out there and make it happen. You will be able to live well the rest of your life if you have that skill set.
I heard a key word, a key term, if you have the skills. I didn't hear you need a fancy website. or beautiful photos to start. I heard human connection. So I'm going to read this question that came in. Is there an effective, non-sleazy way to outsource lead gen? Mine is a solo consulting business, and after years of juggling child raising, I'm now an empty nester and ready to grow, but I simply don't enjoy the initial sales function. I'm cool with warm leads, but that earlier stage is not a good use of my time, and I don't enjoy it. What would you both say to this? What do you hear? Go ahead, Laura. Laura's like, two introverts. Laura, we're like, go.
I want to talk. Okay, so number one, you don't feel good about doing the organic lead generation because you're not doing it in a way that's aligned to you. So you'll find yourself eager and excited to do something when it's aligned to you. The two tools we use inside our company are the Coldly assessment, KOLDE, assessment A, and human design. And based on your makeup, you are meant to do different things. So I'm a manifester. I am a 9 quick start. I am meant to lead, go first. Yeah, I know. And my business partner's a 10 quick start, and it only goes up to 10. So I know I can just reach out to new people, say hi. I did it before this call. I reached out to a handful of people. In fact, I have little things that are popping up, and that feels fantastic to me. Now, not opposite, but different. A introverted projector who maybe is a higher fact finder or higher follow through. It literally, we had one client who she did some organic outreach, and the woman like smacked her hand and like told her how horrible she was, and it felt terrible. And we're like, wait a minute, that doesn't match for you. Projectors need to activate their network. And if they actually just say hello to a friend they already know, all of a sudden this magical referral shows up. And what I want you to hear in this is what you need to identify is what is the way that does feel good for you? Because I promise you this, and I say it with love. If you simply outsource things you hate to do, but you have somebody doing that, I don't want to say hateful thing, but that thing that doesn't feel good, you're going to get almost exactly the same results, except for you'll be paying someone else to do it. So the first step is to get congruent to you in the way that's going to feel good for you. And then the secondary thing is to really understand what is marketing. So I believe marketing and sales are like two perfect sisters. The marketing thing is to get you to know you, like you, trust you, believe in you, get on a call or buy in that moment. And the sales process does exactly the same thing. So if you are repeating your pattern of getting that person to know who you are, you get to know them. If they start to create trust in you, trust in them, belief in you, when you fall in love, when you get that connection, it's exactly the same both in sales as it is in marketing. And then it becomes really, really easy. So if you are talking to cold leads, I don't actually believe in cold. What I call them is loose connections. I find that like when we got on this original call and Racheal and I don't know each other because we know everybody and we like swim in the same pool. We're a loose connection, not a cold prospect, not even a cold connection. Loose just means we need to find something that we have in common. When you start to reframe that, and then you can gather your loose connections into a group, it's going to start to feel a lot easier versus doing one-to-one and feeling like your energy is diverted. So I know that, Racheal, you said this too. I have pretty much a close to 100% close rate. I always want to like asterisk it. I'm sure there's one person that I wouldn't. But the reason why is because by the time I'm having a sales conversation, this person knows me and I know them. We like each other. We're trusting each other. We're literally having Laura, are you the same real person that I thought you were? And Tina, are you really awesome and I'm going to be a great client? Yes, yes. Then we work together. So that's what I have to say about marketing.
Love it.
That I was going to add on to that. I'm a bit different. I am a 8-8 fact finder quick start, which is like unusual. And I'm also a generator. So I'm very process driven.
You can do it.
I can work faster than a lot of people. But because I'm process driven and I tend to be a little more analytical about things, I'm always looking for what is the repeatable pattern, because the repeatable pattern is how I can grow something. So one thing I do with a lot of my clients is when they're trying to figure out the right strategy for them, I ask them to go back to their last 10 or 25 clients and figure out where did those people find out about you? And if you can identify where they found out about you, you'll get a lot of insight into what is actually working, because sometimes we think something is where we need to put our attention, but then it turns out that actually doesn't matter. So for example, when Heather was talking about Instagram, I have a lot of people who come and they say the same thing, like, should I get on this? Should I do this? Should I blah, blah, blah. But when we look back at their last 10 or 25 clients that actually showed up and paid them, they come from similar sources. They're coming from their podcast. They're coming from a really high value challenge that they got people into through advertising. They came in through a speaking gig that they had. Whatever it is, they're looking there and they're seeing. Sometimes I'll have some people who, like, 8 out of 10 of their paid clients are referrals, but they're stressed out about Instagram. I'm like, this is a waste of your time. Let's go out there, and how do we make more of your clients happy so that they send you more referrals? So I think that's a huge part of it, is paying attention to where your paying clients are actually coming from, and then look for the big wins. The little things are only going to incrementally move you forward, but the big wins are what are going to exponentially move you forward. So for me, I would probably never give up the front end of this whole process for my business, which is going out there and doing podcast interviews. Even though I'm highly introverted, I know that the best way for me to get people into my whole ecosystem is to be on other people's podcasts. Then they come over to my podcast. It's called Promote Yourself to CEO. You can find it on iTunes. And then once they're on that, they start coming into more of my entire ecosystem, and it's very seamless. I don't spend a lot of time wasting on other new tips, tricks, and tactics, because I know what works. So I double down on that.
Love it. I like to talk about the $1 Million Minute. I wrote this in my book. I don't know if anyone else talks about it or where I got it from, but if every 60 seconds of your life is worth $1 million, are you investing it correctly? So just thinking about are you investing it aligned, right? So you're spending so much mental energy, physical energy, emotional energy on something that's not even bringing it in. You just realign yourself, and you're like, oh, I have all this energy. I have all this time. I have all this freedom. And then double down on what is working. So I wrote down emotional discomfort. Does it feel good? We are so used to things being hard. I do not believe in the term, we can do hard things. I'm sorry, Glennon Doyle. I love you to pieces. I think we live in a culture that is addicted to hard. And so then we add this into a personal development growth strategy, and our brain tries to find hard. So I like to say we can do emotionally uncomfortable things. If I can do emotionally uncomfortable things, and I'm getting the feedback from a friend, a mentor, a coach that's saying, Heather, keep doing this. And I'm like, but shiny object over here, it gives me dopamine and I feel really, really good. And, it really, it helps my inner child. And I'm like, no, do the emotional discomfort, because if you're doing the things that you're resisting that are going to give you the biggest ROI, this is where the magic is going to happen. And that's where growth is. We've all heard it, outside of our comfort zone. So yeah, if it's not working, stop doing it. How simple is that? Done.
It sounds so simple. We have something called DDD in our company, and it is delete, delegate, do. And here's how we do this, because we are conditioned, especially as women, that any idea, anything that comes onto our plate, we're like, well, we've got to do it because it's here. And the first question I always ask is, does this need to be done? Can I simply delete it? And I loved what you were saying, Racheal, about like, where do your actual clients come from? What is actually working? Whenever we test something out, we test in our company for a minimum of 90 days. And what we're testing for is to see effectiveness and match. And then we can easily relieve ourselves of something if it doesn't work. And then delegating, I'm always trying to see who else can do the thing so that I can stay in my zone of genius, which is 99% of the time serving our clients. And then by the time something's on my do list, I only do it if it feels good. And I have a rule about that, because I think it's really easy to be like, I only do what feels good. And you're like, well, getting on my Peloton bike, quite frankly, ladies, does not feel good. However, It
As
feels
mine's in the background. Over
mine's in the other room. It has its own room, but it feels good after I've done it. And that's how I look at things. When there's something that's in front of me, I'm going to find the best way to do it. So I have cute outfits that I like to wear when I'm on my Peloton bike. I only ride with the trainers that I feel like lit up about. Like, I find the way to make it feel good. But the truth of the matter is, you said it perfectly, Heather. Growth is on the other side. And so why I love sales is we like to set transcendent sales goals. And what that means is if I know how to accomplish something, then that goal is not going to have me do something different to create different results. So I set sales goals that are intended to stretch me beyond what I understand to do. And I loved what you were saying, Racheal, about like, if you don't believe in it, it won't happen. Yeah. So we set a lot of good, better, best goals. Good, I believe it. I know it. It's going to happen no matter what. Better, I just put myself in a stretch. That best goal, I'm using it for transcendence to have me choose to do different activities, which again helps me better believe in the good goal. So I love all of this. This is like, sales is everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Just transcend, make a bigger impact. Okay. So this kind of goes nicely into what you're saying. Well, if it doesn't feel good, I'm not going to do it. But Kimberlyn would like to hear your thoughts about gaining momentum when you're just starting out. Maybe you don't have a team. Maybe you don't have people around you, and we have to do things that we don't want to do, right? So how do we balance that? What would be your highest leverage action to start making the first couple of sales when your community is very small? I think we've given some tips already, but go ahead. What'd you say?
Pick up the phone. Just pick up the damn phone. If your community is super small, then it's such an asset because it means you have an easier time connecting with each and every person. And if you can connect with each and every person in your community while they're small, trust me, those are going to become the super fans. I still have people who my first through fourth year in business, when I was doing so much personal outreach to everybody who joined my community, I still have those people who pop back up into my world and continue to buy from me. This is the time when I would be having the quick get to know you calls. This is the time when I'd be doing hey, let me talk to you and see, what are you struggling with? The more you can talk to those people, not only will you get sales, like sales is like the side effect for me. That's the perk. The best part about it is you're going to get so much insight into what they actually want and need help with. The worst thing that I see happen is people get so focused on growing an audience that they don't actually know, and they don't have a real insight into what their needs are, what they actually want. Is they're like, well, how come I have this huge community, but I'm not making any money on the back end? And it's because they didn't take the time to really get to know those people. And if you don't have that, you don't have anything. There are so many people I can't even tell you how many people end up talking to me and they're like, I've got 30,000 Instagram followers, but I don't make any money. And I'm like, great, you were focused on the wrong thing. Talk to those people, find a small group of those people who you can actually help, and let's double down on them. But talk to the people, get the insight. The sales will happen if you just talk to them.
Go to your last post, everybody who commented, send them a private message, audio, as you go for your hour-long walk every day that you say you don't have time for. And you're like, hey, you commented on my last post. I just wanted to say I appreciate you. Is there anything I could do to serve you today? Give them value. Boom. Yes. Do it again and again and again. And just listen to this. It's so simple. This is that thing where I love when I had a client the other day who was like, there's only 37 people that registered for my webinar. And I'm like, this is a godsend. I want you to personally thank everyone who showed up. Tell the ones who didn't, here's a way to get the recording. Oh, you didn't get the recording? Let's hop on a call. That direct line of connection. I kind of want to tell the story it's a short one, it's a quick one, and it'll make everyone feel really good. So a couple of years ago, and when I say a couple, it means probably like 10. That's what happens when you get in your 40s. I was exhausted. I mean, I had the 6-figure business. I was doing done for you sales for a lot of like high powered women who are on this online sphere.
I was exhausted. I was making a lot of money for a lot of people and not for myself. And so I decided to do the one thing I knew I could count on, which was to count on myself. And I removed 80%, almost 90% of my clients. I stopped doing done for you services, and I spent 28 days, and I only know it was 28 days because it's February. And all I did during that time was I did sales conversations. And what I mean by that was I reached out to people. I had no list, zero list. I don't even mean I had to figure out how to set up a Weber, and decided to not even do it during those 28 days. I simply private messaged and asked somebody if I could connect with them. And when I talked with them, if they weren't a fit, I asked who else should I talk to. And I did 37 sales calls in those 28 days. I signed on 13 new clients, which put $10,000 in my bank account that month. But I booked out about 136,000 during that time. But that wasn't even the best part. Like, that was what Racheal said is you will do calls and you will make sales. The side effect that happened was all the people that I reached out who didn't get on a call with me, something happened magical. It like bubbled. In like the next couple of months, people were like, oh, I saw your message, Laura. I didn't respond to you. Let's get on a call. And the people that I sold the small things to, after we worked together for a little bit, they bought the bigger thing. And then of those 37, because only 13 bought from me, I had connections with all the rest of them, and they became clients. So what I want you to hear is that start from scratch moment, the more, and I don't even mean volume, I mean like more connected you can be to more people in a short amount of time, it will put your rocket ship up in space. And then you have lasting connections to continue to nurture, to have more clients.
Love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. We could talk all day, every day. What has been your biggest takeaway? I'm going to ask I was going to say all three of you, that's myself included. Maybe a reminder that you maybe heard from one of us, and those that are listening as well, post in the chat. But Laura, just curious if there's something I said, Racheal said, and vice versa, Racheal, you as well. That's kind of a wrap up reminder of sales.
Yeah, the value of your time. Heather, when you were saying about the $1 million moment, what are you using your time for? And Racheal, you just reiterated and echoed that in stop doing what's not working. That thing that you think outside of you, those likes that are metrics that don't matter, pay attention to what is actually getting your results. Do more of what works versus attempting to fix what doesn't, and really, really honor the value of your time. Those were like two things that just stood out.
I love that. I loved where Heather said, it's not we can do hard things. It's we can do emotionally uncomfortable things. And I just want to remind everybody that these things feel emotionally uncomfortable, especially when you're first doing them. But it's like anything else that you practice, it becomes easier to the point where it becomes your comfort zone. And I think that's, if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, these three are talking like at this level, I'm nowhere near them. It's because at this point, like this is our comfort zone. This is easy for us. It is not difficult, but that's 10, 15, 20 years of practice. And if you practice, it gets easier. So don't shy away from it. Because if you put the reps in early, if you put the time in early, it will pay off for the lifetime of your business. But this is the one skill that if you avoid it, it will put you out of business. So I really encourage everyone listen through this whole conversation again.
Okay. I don't know if it's just that is the mic drop right there. If you avoid this one skill, you need sales skills. It is so freaking important. First of all, I'm so grateful that we did this on a Monday. Well, we're recording on a Monday because I'm just going to be flying high throughout the entire week, but definitely today. I really appreciate it's a reminder of the people you surround yourself with, right? The ones you're like, yes, yes. And you're challenging each other. But you're also like, I see something for you. I see something for you. And just constantly challenging yourself to get uncomfortable. And I love going for walks and just DMing people and being like, hey, thank you. And there's no attachment. But you're kind of just opening that circle and breaking that moment of discomfort and then helping people people. That's what we're here to do. That's the impact we want to make, is to help people. So if you can give someone a little nugget and then you're like, I can help you solve this problem. If you're interested, let me know. So where can people find both of you? Where can they get more of you? Because it's not just one conversation that's going to change your life or your business. There's a lot of skills and there's consistency and momentum that are required here. So for all the ladies who are ready, where can they find you?
So I can be found myself personally, laurawrightofficial.com, brand new site. It's all sparkly and pretty, but I really do want everyone to hear, wasn't that way for about 13 years, not required. Get your first 7 figures before you make the pretty site. And also you can come hang with me and my business partner at thesouldSisters.com, SOULD. We have an event coming up, lots of resources. And what we like to teach is transcendent sales, how to make it feel good, but actually work. And from a space where you are not in crushing it hustle, but you stay in flow connection. And that flow includes a lot of money flowing towards you. So that's where to come hang with me.
Love it. Love it. Racheal.
Yeah, y'all can come find me at rachealcook.com or theceocollective.com. But if you want more strategic info, head over to Promote Yourself to CEO, the podcast. Again, you can find it anywhere podcasts are. And I would love to connect with you there.
Thank you, everyone. Hopefully, well, you're listening to this on my podcast, which is Mom is in Control, and you know where to find me. So, love this. So Kimberlyn said, I feel super optimistic after hearing Laura's experience of Double Down for a month and making momentum. I swear, where your energy goes, your energy flows, and you can make magical stuff happen. I always say, if you back yourself into a corner and the only way out is through, you will get through. And I will tell a super quick story before we wrap up about that, because it inspired this. So in August, beginning of August, I went to Alaska with a friend who sold me on the idea of going. And she said, Heather, would you like to go? And the adventure inside of me was like, sure, why not? And I love the unknown. And there was 4 of us. We were in 2 kayaks, like tandem kayaks. We had our food in there. You had to poop in the ocean, and it was amazing. And I was just the unknown, right? So once both of you were like, no. So once we were in the middle of the ocean, my biggest fear was like a whale coming to flip over our kayak. Did not happen, but it was near me or near us. Once the boat dropped us off, I was like, the only way out is through. I have 7 days of this. There's no turning back. I just have to paddle. And so some days I was like, 1, 2, 1, 2, doing the strokes. And I will tell you, at the end of the 7 days, when we reached the boat to get back on, I had tears of like being so fucking proud of myself for just accomplishing what I accomplished. And I've had the exact same feeling, the emotional response, when I've accomplished a goal and I did not let myself back out. So I personally love to mentally challenge myself, where the only way out is through. And you do not need to be dropped in the middle of Alaska in the ocean to do that to yourself, but challenging yourself, right? Putting yourself in those emotionally uncomfortable spots and positions where you're like, there's a part of me that doesn't believe that this is possible, but I'm going to commit to it and just say, I'm going to send out 3 messages a day, or I'm going to make these connections, see where it goes, because the only way out is through. And how we sabotage our success is because we give ourselves a way out. And that is often by not committing, not investing, not asking for help, and solely relying on just ourselves when realizing we're supposed to be in community. We need those people next to us. You are wildly capable, and growth is emotionally uncomfortable. So thank you, ladies, for being here. I love and appreciate you, and I'm sure we'll connect soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, that's it. And I wanted to thank you for listening today, because I truly believe you are exactly where you need to be. And now I have a favor to ask. In exchange for the value you've gained from this free podcast, I'd be forever grateful if you would leave us a review on iTunes. Share the show with at least one woman in your life who you feel would benefit, and or take a screenshot and share it on social media. And always feel free to tag me at Heather Chauvin. The world does not benefit from your guilt and fatigue. The world needs more women who are willing to unlearn everything they've been taught. Women who are courageous enough to feel good and not let guilt run the show. I believe you are that courageous woman. To see if my community and coaching is the right fit for you and your big vision, the relationships you desire, the money, time, energy that you know deep down you are capable of creating, then head on over to heatherchauvin.com/work with me. That's Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/work with me, and take the next step in the right direction. Taking a stand for how you feel means you are taking a stand for how your children show up as adults. And if you have a personal question or topic you'd like me to answer on the podcast, text me 313-710-5199. 313-710-5199. You are so worthy of feeling good. Now go do some scary shit.